Hey, what's going on, guys? Wanted to do another quick encouraging video. A lot of people have been standing up for righteousness, but not a lot of people have truly been hungering and thirsting for righteousness. And a lot of people, when they talk about righteousness, when they talk about doing the right thing, they only do it when it's out of convenience, when it's easy for them, and when it really doesn't cost people much of anything. And I wanted to just encourage you guys with a couple of passages. And as we just, have seen in the past, few months, a lot of people in leadership, a lot of people in politics, a lot of people in positions of power, they don't really step up to do the right thing. They don't step up to call out sin. They don't step up to have the right, decision when it comes to legal things, legislative things, when it comes to voting for the right thing and standing up for what they believe is truth. And instead, what they do instead is they cave to pressure, they cave to blackmail, they cave to the convenience, they cave to, satisfying their image and their brand and making sure that they don't look like a fool, they don't look like they're ruffling feathers and things like that. And what God says is much different than that. And if you guys have read, the Beatitudes, where Jesus talks about blessed are those who do X, Y, Z, two of them, in fact, or three of them, if you want to count the ninth one to the disciples, two of them talk straight up about righteousness. Verse 6, Matthew chapter 5, verse 6 says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled." And verse 10 says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And then the last one, "Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." And I just wanted to read another quick verse. This comes from Isaiah chapter, 51, verse 7. It says, "Listen to me, you who know righteousness, you people in whose law or whose heart is my law. Do not fear the reproach of men, nor be afraid of their insults." And, so many people, we are called to stand up for sin, essentially, fighting for sin and making sure you're doing what's right. But so many people, they're clouded by what's around them. They don't see that the Lord is behind you, that you have angels of protection, of warriors fighting for you. There's people and a great reward, like it says, in heaven for you, for those that stand up for what's right, stand up for what's righteous, instead of staying silent and staying in your cave, essentially. And God is saying you need to stand up for righteousness, and you need to do it in such a way where you're hungering and you're thirsting for it. You can't let injustice, you can't let sin, you can't let, whatever it is go running rampant, because so many of us, we get caught up with that and we succumb to what Satan has for us. And many of us don't even pass these tests. We don't pass the trials because we just want to get back into our comfort zone. And instead, and I'm not talking about just even political things and big ticket things with regards to legislation and all the things that are happening right now. And that's, again, a separate topic. But really, I'm talking about your heart and the condition and the posture you have with regards to hating sin and loving God and putting Christ first. And so many of us, whether it is in the smallest of things, whether it's your thoughts, whether it is cheating on your financial things, or cutting corners for whatever it is that you're called to do, and in your heart of hearts, with your still small voice inside, that you should be doing the right thing, but you don't, and instead you are messing up what it is that God has for you, essentially, which is a great reward, which is protection, which is many other things. The correction of so many domino effects of different things that happen in the world as a result of our sin. And because we don't hunger and we don't thirst for it, and because we're not standing up for it, so much so that we're persecuted for it. Yes, you can be persecuted even in a first world country like the US or in many other parts of the world, but you need to be standing up for it. And the Lord is so pleased. It's such an aroma to him that somebody that, even if you're not a Christian, even, God is honored by people even that are not Christian, that stand up for the righteousness. And this passage isn't a lie. God has promises in the Bible. There's so many thousands of promises in the Bible that, and especially the Beatitudes, right? Where it says, "Blessed are those who do this, for this is XYZ. And it doesn't say sometimes that'll happen. And sometimes you might, be blessed. And sometimes if you stand up for righteousness, sometimes you'll get your fill or whatever it is. No, but if you do it once even, then you will get this. If you do it all the time, you will get this. You're not going to sometimes get, a reward, or sometimes you might get kind of a broken, present or whatnot. God is promising us, if you stand up for it, if you hunger and you thirst for it, and you truly seek after it, and especially if it's your calling, right? Let's say you're a lawyer. Let's say you're doing some kind of ethical business or whatever it is. If you're standing up for it, God is honored. It's a pleasing aroma to him. And what we don't see is that the Lord is watching. A legion of angels, thousands of angels are watching and cheering you on. And heaven is cheering you on, because there's so much more in heaven and in this life afterwards that God is allowing us to wait for, and that we have a promise for that's bigger than the little distractions around us, the little, image that we have trying to protect our, name brand and whatever it is, or trying to not, make someone angry or ruffle feathers or whatever it is that the devil is tempting us. And yes, that the devil does tempt us with quote unquote good things, like, oh, for the sanctity of, not, and he twists it, for the sanctity and the peace of your community around you, don't bring, attention to that. Don't bring attention to that, man's sin, or don't bring attention to this little instance or whatever it is. And truly, if God is tugging on your heart and he's moving you in the Holy Spirit, and he wants you to step up, to step in for the gap, and to really call some, issue out or whatever it is, then you have to step up to that and really make your voice heard and make yourself known, because the Lord is honored by that. The Lord is pleased by people that hunger and thirst and stand in the gap for standing up for righteousness. And so I want to encourage you guys with that. So many people are backing down. So many people are given authority and power and positions and titles, but they don't take advantage of it. They don't really step up to what God has called them to do. And in this hour and in this season, more than ever, we need people, men and women of God, warriors and soldiers of Christ, that would step up and stand in for those that are, they don't have a voice, or they're less privileged, or they don't have a platform or an avenue to stand for that justice. And as much as the world is saying, oh no, it's okay, we love the people, right? And we're not condemning the people in the sense of looking down on them, but essentially it's the sin that they have, and them entertaining the sin of, whatever it is, the LGBT thing or abortion or so many other things. I'm just giving high level big ticket stuff, but there's so many more things, right? And we can't just let that just go to waste and say, oh no, it's okay. It's okay to have XYZ. That's how the Satan is poisoning our minds to get in on that. And I'm really talking about, you've got to have a black and white for it, but then at the same time, in grace and in love, you love the person. And of course, I'm not condemning anyone that has, gay or homophobic thoughts. We love them, we accept them, but it's the sin itself. And the same goes for me when I sin. You hate the sin, and you have to turn from it, and you have to go to the Lord, and you have to desire being upright and to be corrected and to have righteousness. And so I want to encourage you guys with that, because so many people are struggling with that. We're losing focus. We're backing down, and we're saying, oh, it's okay. We'll just let it be. But the Lord does not want that. And the Lord promises us that we would have our fill, that we would be have our treasure and our reward in heaven for these things. And don't worry about those, as it says in Isaiah, don't worry about those. Do not fear the reproach of men, nor be afraid of their insults, because those things don't matter. What matters is the opinion of God, the glorification of the Lord. And so I hope that's encouraging, guys, and we'll talk to you guys soon. God bless.